Hey friends, I'm Dustin Davis and welcome to the channel. Here you'll find everything you need to know about the Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs entered this season in an unusual position. The foundation of their dynasty remains intact, yet the atmosphere around the roster feels unsettled. A team built on explosive plays and offensive certainty now faces questions of identity and balance, as shifts in personnel and timing force the organization to adjust on the fly. The offense, once the league's most feared weapon, has shown signs of strain in recent years. Production is down, moving pieces have interrupted continuity, and even before the first kickoff, key contributors are missing. Depth exists, but how that depth translates into reliability on the field is still unknown. For the front office, coaches, and Patrick Mahomes himself, the margin for error is thinner than in years past. These realities have prompted conversations that stretch beyond the week-to-week grind. Every roster choice, every trade possibility, every injury update carries greater weight, not just for this fall, but for what comes next. Let's check out everything that's happening in Kansas City. Before we dive in, I have a quick request. If you find value in our content, please give us a like. It's a small gesture, but it really helps. Thanks for being awesome. When the Kansas City Chiefs made the decision to carry 8 receivers on their 53-man roster heading into the season, or at least to clear roster-cut deadlines, the move was not a casual one. The priority was clear: protect the offensive core through the opening stretch, particularly with Rashee Rice set to miss time. Yet beneath that practical approach lies another layer of strategy that may not surface until the middle of the season. With Rice suspended for 6 games, Kansas City is left with a wide receiver group that shrinks from 8 to 7 once he officially lands on the exempt list. That number still provides more than enough depth for Patrick Mahomes to keep the offense functioning, even without his favorite target on the field. But the situation grows more complicated once Rice returns. His presence will certainly boost production beginning in Week 7, but it will also create a logjam in a room already packed with options. Of course, the NFL rarely allows such situations to play out exactly as projected. Injuries could thin the group. A younger option like Jason Brownlee, Tyquan Thornton, or Nico Remigio could emerge and force his way into the rotation. Still, the fact remains: keeping 8 receivers offers flexibility and possibly leverage. The NFL trade deadline falls on November 4th, just weeks after Rice's return on October 17th. That window perfectly overlaps with the stage when franchises decide whether to push for contention or cut losses and prepare for the future. If Kansas City determines it has more wideouts than it can meaningfully use, the surplus could be flipped into draft capital. The Chiefs wouldn't be expected to hold on to 8 receivers indefinitely, but they could use one as a trade piece, gaining a pick in the process while helping another team fill a void. This dynamic adds an extra layer of intrigue to the Chiefs' roster design. Navigating the early weeks without Rice might prove challenging, but doing so with surplus depth could give Kansas City a chance to cash in later, adding assets without weakening their current position. That depth leads into another pressing issue: the recent dip in offensive production and what it means for Patrick Mahomes. While wide receiver depth provides options, the bigger picture centers on the offense as a whole. Even with Mahomes at the helm, the Kansas City scoring output has dipped noticeably over the past 2 seasons. The Chiefs once averaged nearly 500 points per year during Mahomes' first 5 years as a starter. Recently, that number has fallen closer to 378. The math is simple but telling: more than 100 points missing per season, essentially a touchdown per game. No one is questioning Mahomes' talent or resume. He remains the most trusted player in the league when the game is on the line. Yet the numbers reflect how constant turnover among offensive personnel has quietly chipped away at consistency. With new targets, new role players, and shifting pieces each year, the connection and rhythm that once made the Chiefs unstoppable has become harder to maintain. Fantasy football managers have felt the difference, but in the standings, Kansas City has largely covered for the shortfall. Steve Spagnuolo's defense has provided stability, and Mahomes, even in a more conservative role, still produces highlight moments when they're needed most. Still, the disappointment of a Super Bowl defeat against Philadelphia sparked off-season reflection. Mahomes himself has been vocal about wanting to take more risks downfield. Coaches have echoed the same idea: a return to explosiveness is necessary. Rice's absence complicates that early, but the mission is set. Kansas City does not want to lean only on safe plays and defensive stops. The challenge now is finding ways to restore the attack to its previous heights. And while the offense looks to regain its spark, injuries at wide receiver are already adding more challenges to the equation. The offense's search for rhythm has been further complicated by health setbacks. Beyond Rice's suspension, the Chiefs received word that rookie wide receiver Jalen Royals is unlikely to be available for the opener against the Chargers in Brazil. Andy Reid confirmed that Royals is still rehabbing a knee issue, keeping him out at least through Week 1. If he remains sidelined, Kansas City will lean on Xavier Worthy, Juju Smith-Schuster, Hollywood Brown, Tyquan Thornton, Nico Remigio, and Jason Brownlee to shoulder the receiving duties. That group is capable, but Royals' absence is nonetheless a disappointment. The fourth-round rookie from Georgia, officially timed at 4.42 in the 40-yard dash, offers tantalizing speed and game-breaking ability. His collegiate journey began at Georgia Military College before he elevated his academics and transferred to Utah State, where he broke out as a deep threat. His 2023 season included 7 touchdown plays of 50 yards or more, underscoring his potential as a field stretcher at the pro level. Injuries limited him last year, but scouts and analysts remain optimistic about his ceiling. ESPN's Matt Miller even suggested during draft coverage that Mahomes would love this guy. For now, though, that chemistry will have to wait. The Chiefs staff will monitor his progress, but until he's fully healthy, Kansas City must rely on the rest of its options to fill the gap. But it's not just the receiver room under review. The running back depth is another area the Chiefs may soon adjust. Kansas City's front office has also turned its attention to the running back position. Historically, the Chiefs have not leaned heavily on their backs during Mahomes' reign, instead building an offense around the passing game. But last year's title run by Philadelphia, driven in part by Saquon Barkley's presence, has some in Kansas City rethinking the balance. The current backfield mirrors much of last year's group. Isaiah Pacheco remains the featured option, Kareem Hunt serves as the primary backup, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire has rejoined the roster. The Chiefs also added Elijah Mitchell in free agency, though his recent production has been limited due to injuries. Still, questions linger. Pacheco managed only 7 games in 2024, raising concerns about his durability across a full schedule. With Rice missing 6 games, the Chiefs could need a heavier ground attack early on, making reliable depth behind Pacheco even more crucial. That has led to speculation about Kansas City exploring the market. ESPN's Dan Graziano recently suggested the Chiefs could pursue a third down back with pass protection ability, scanning both trade possibilities and waiver claims as rosters shake out ahead of the season. It may not happen immediately, but if the Chiefs identify the right fit, a move could be on the horizon. The calculus here goes beyond depth alone. It's about protecting Mahomes, maintaining balance, and preparing for possible injuries. Each roster tweak has ripple effects on cap space and draft capital. Kansas City must weigh short-term need against long-term planning carefully. Among potential running back options, one name has already drawn interest: Kenneth Walker. The Seahawks retained him through roster cutdowns, but with emerging younger backs like Zach Charbonnet and George Holani, Seattle could be open to a trade if the right package materializes. Walker brings a proven resume. In 3 NFL seasons, he has totaled 2,586 rushing yards and 25 touchdowns on 615 carries, alongside 726 receiving yards and 2 scores through the air. His skill set checks every box: power between the tackles, breakaway speed, and pass-catching ability. For Kansas City, that versatility would provide both insurance against injuries and an immediate boost to offensive creativity. The idea of acquiring Walker gains weight when considering Pacheco's health history and the absence of Rice to start the season. A dual threat back could help stabilize the offense early while giving Mahomes a reliable outlet throughout the year. Seattle's depth chart makes the scenario realistic. Charbonnet's emergence last season has given the Seahawks confidence, and with additional acts on the roster, Walker may become expendable if another team, like Kansas City, presents a strong return. For the Chiefs, adding Walker would represent more than just depth. It would be a signal of intent, an aggressive move to restore the offensive balance that once defined them, and to ensure Mahomes has every tool necessary to keep Kansas City at the top of the AFC. Would acquiring Kenneth Walker be the kind of bold move you'd support? Or do you think the Chiefs should save their assets for other needs? Leave your analysis in the comments. Don't forget to leave your like and subscribe. Join our community and get exclusive content every day. We always bring you everything happening in Kansas City. See you soon.